Hello everybody and welcome back to yet another YouTube tutorial. My name is Martin and today I will be showing you how to create a nice sounding jazz track. So I have been receiving a lot of requests from you guys, both here on YouTube and on my Facebook page, and many of you want to see how I go on making my jazz tracks. So I've created a demo jazz track here for you guys, which I'm going to show you how to create today. And so first of all, I'm just going to play through this track, and starting from here until the end, I will be doing a little bit of freestyling on my MIDI piano, which I've got in front of me. And so yeah, let's take a listen. Alright, so that's what we have, and that's what I'm going to teach you today how to create. So, starting off, I'm going to demonstrate how I decided to plan out this chord progression. And I used a jazz chord progression method, which is known as the 1-6-2-5 chord progression method. There are a lot of different standards out there, jazz standards, showing different methods of how to come up with a chord progression, and this is one of the most standard ones, one of the most used ones. And what this builds on is scales. So if I jump into a clean pattern here and go to the piano roll, which I have here, I have my piano right here. So if we were to, I'm gonna play them here. If we were to create a song in the C major scale, then we have to start off from the C note. And as you all may know, the C major scale consists of all white keys. So these are the keys in the C major scale. And the way they are numbered are their position in the scale. So for instance, the key of C is number 1, since it's the first key of the scale. D is the second key of the scale, so it will be numbered number 2, and so on. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And that's what this 1-6-2-5 method builds on. So, for instance, if we place this out, we will be placing triads, which consist of the first, third, and fifth key position of the scale. That's how we create a triad. If you're unsure how to create triads, then you can go up to the menu right here, where it says stamps, and if you click that, you will get a drop-down menu, which you cannot see right now because my recording program doesn't display drop-downs for some reason. And then under melodic chords, you will have something saying major. If we click that and then press our note, which we want to create a major out of, like C for instance, then it will create a C major chord for us right there. Perfect. So for this track, we will be creating a chord progression using this method. So if we start off by by number 1, we will have a C. So we will be creating a C triad. 1, 3rd, 5th. And then we will create a triad on the 6th key of the scale. So if we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we get an A. So what we can do is copy this and bring it up to the A. But now this is a major triad. We want a minor triad, so we're gonna bring down this C sharp to a C. So we will get this. Oh, I'm gonna drag this a little bit closer, like that. And then we want the second key of the scale. So 1, 2, we get the D. And so I'm just gonna copy that. And then we want the 5th. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We get the G. So I'm just going to copy this and bring this up to the G. And here we want a major triad. So I'm going to bring up this A. So now we have this. Which sounds okay, but not very jazzy. So how can we make this sound a little bit more jazzy? Well, the most common way of creating jazzy sounding chords is by adding the 7th key of the scale. Since we have C down here and C up here, the 1st and the 8th key of the scale. Then if we add the 7th, which is the key below the upper C in this case, we'll get the B. And it sounds pretty okay if we play it like this, but if we were to move this C up on top, we will get that distorted sounding noise because these two keys are adjacent to each other. So if we move down to C, we will get a little more cleaner sound, but still some of that roughness. So that's what we're going for. So we're gonna place 7th on all of these chords. So like we have already created here, we got the C, move up to the 8th, and then 1 step down to the B. So if we play that, sounds a lot more nicer, doesn't it? Same goes for the A. If we have the A right here, and we move up an octave to the A, and then we go 1 step down to the G. So we go. Nice. Same goes for the D. Go 1 step down to the C, and same for the G. G, 1 octave up, and 1 step down to the F. So this is what we got so far. And I think that sounds a lot better. But we're not done yet. Something else you can do is by adding a 6th. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to copy all of these notes. I'm marking it by holding down Control and dragging my mouse. And then I hold down Shift and I simply drag this along. That's how you copy all your notes. So on the end here, this G7 chord, which we got right now, I want to make that a G6. So all I do is drag down the 7 1 step more. So we get this. Yeah, we got that nice transition going. So that's nice. And now I'm going to show you a little trick which I like to use to create a more, how should I put this, a more flowing sound through this. Because if you look at these two chords, you see this one is pretty low. We get a lot of dead space right here, which we get up here instead, since we have a lot of dead space right here. So how can we adjust this? Because now if you were to play this in real life, you would first play down low and then you would jump up, and that we don't want that jumpiness. We want to stay on the same place on the keyboard, because that sounds way more realistic. So something you can do is, if you take this top note, the G, if we were to move this down an octave, move some of the space up here down below to make less dead space. Let's try that. So we take this G, place it on the bottom. Then we will get rid of this dead space by placing it down bottom. So now if we play this, we still get the same chord, since this chord still consists of all the keys which we had previously, but now it will sound a little more clustered if you want. You could also do this by moving down the E one octave. You will get this. So if you prefer that, you can do that as well. And to add some more distortion to this first chord, and also fill some of this dead space, I will add the 8th note, which in this case we have the C and the C. So the 8th note like that. So we get this. Alright. So now we got some dead space up here and some down here. So what we can do is move up this D to make these two chords get a little bit closer to each other. We can keep this G right here. And I want to create something else here. Instead of having the C major 7 like we had before, I want to create a E minor 7. So right now we have the E, the G, and the B, which is a E minor. So to add the 7th, we would go one octave up from the E to the E and one step down to the D. So instead of having this as a C, we could place that as a D, and that would create a E minor 7. But now we have some dead space up here, so I'm going to move this on top. And we will also get a little fresh sound. So, moving on. Here we have the A minor 7. And to spice this up a little bit, making it a little more crazy, if you want, we are going to leave the C major scale for a second, because A minor is part of the C major scale, but now we're going to make this an A major chord. We're going to raise this C to a C sharp, giving it a little bit more character. It will sound a little bit off, but that's what we're going for, this raw jazz sound. So let's play that. And you hear that sort of off note, which I love. That's super jazzy. So now if we, as you can see here, we have some dead space right here, so I'm going to move down the G on the bottom like that. And now you can see that all the chords are pretty much closer to each other on the keyboard. It's not that much jumpiness going on. So let's play this from the top and you can hear what it sounds like. So let's go. So yeah, that's what we have, and as you may hear, it sounds a little sharp, a little too rough, and that's all because of the velocity. So if you go up here and you choose velocity in the drop down menu here, and then if you bring this this little section right here, you can see the velocity of the notes that we are playing. And right now they are very high, and that's not how you play in real life, right? Like you see, all of these are pretty much the same strength, and that's not how you play in real life. You play it smoothly, like that's how you play it. And so we're going to vary up this a little bit. You can do this by selecting random notes like this, and then just go up, down, up, down, up, down like that. Or you can do it by just doing all of them, like something like this and like that and like that. But what I like to do is selecting random notes like this and doing like that, because then we will get different velocities in the different chords. Like you can see, it will be spread it out a little bit more, creating a nicer sound to it, in my opinion. So if we do that, we get a little bit of variation. And then what you can do is go into this piano roll option right here. You can go down to tools, and then you can scale levels. You can also do this by pressing Alt X on your keyboard. You will get this, which, if you take a look at the velocities right here, you can control all of them at the same time. So now, after you've created some variance in the velocity, you can adjust this to your liking. If you want them really low or really high, or more variance to it, or yeah, do whatever you want. So I'm going to have them right here, and we're going to take a listen to what that sounds like. And that's a lot nicer, in my opinion. Some of you might think that this is played way too high on the keyboard, so we're going to try bringing it down 1 octave. I'm pressing Control A to mark it all, and then I'm just going to drag this down to C4 instead. And let's play it now. And now what you can do is simply freestyle away on your piano. Since you know we've created this song in the C major scale, or the key of C major, sorry, then you know you can use all the white notes. So now, if you have a MIDI keyboard, you can freestyle on all the white keys. Or you can simply place out the notes how you want them to be, and it will sound good, basically. So I'm going to do it again here in the pattern. Just play on. So that's how you can freestyle and create your melodies on top of this chord progression. Really nice, in my opinion. So if we look at the other patterns which I have created here, I have a bass right here. And if I were to copy this and go into the piano which we had, if I paste it in, you can see it shares a lot of the same notes as the piano, or actually I'm going to go into the bass section right here, and I will paste it in right here. So now you can see the piano chords in the background, these gray notes. So you see the bass follows the piano really well, like the bass notes. Like I said, we have the C, the A, the D, and then the G. So that's basically. So if you want to make it really simple, you could like place this like that, like the C, the E, the D, which you also have up here, as you see in the and then the G, and it will sound like this. And oh, also, if we go into the piano right here, this is what I created before, and so I added the B right here, which is a part of the chord. It's the G7 chord, just to make a little bit of transition into the next chord. So if we listen to that. So that's optional, but that creates a little bit more more nice sound to the whole thing. So if so this is how you create the bass. I'm just gonna copy this and do the same thing. The C. All right, we made an E right here. So the E, the A, the D, and the G. You see, we have all the chords right there. So now what you can do is just fire away, play along with these piano. Since you know what notes are in the chords, you can just play along with it with the bass. Like here, for instance, we have the D, which is on top, but we placed it on the bottom. And then you could go to the F, for instance, since you know that is a part of the chord, so you can go and like a D, for example, or like that, like. You see, you can like play along however you want. So this is the bass which I created. So yeah, that's basically it. Then I made some drums to it. First of all, I created some brushes right here. Oh, if I play with the metronome on. And you might wonder how I went on creating these notes, since they are not at all in the grid which I currently have it set to. Right now I have it set to cell. You can check it right here by going up to snap to grid. I have it set to cell. But the way I created these like off notes is I went down to 1/3 of a beat. Then you will get another grid, which is it's 3 notes in one beat. Exactly what it says, 1/3 of a beat. And I simply placed it on the 1/3 of these 3 beats, like that. So that's how I created those. And that is simply to have a nice rhythm to it, like a nice flow of the track. I did the same thing. I also created these drums, which if I only play that, it's crash, ride, and the bass drum. And also some toms here at the end. So here, these kicks, which are lowered in velocity, if you compare these two bass drums, it's like small kick into a bigger kick. And this is also 1/3 of a beat. So that's a little tip for you if you want to create nice flow in the track. So if I play that, and this ride, also 1/3 of a beat. And these toms, also 1/3 of a beat. So if I play both of these drum sections, you will get this. So yeah, that's a little tip for you right there. And so that's what we have. And now, if you don't want to work in the C scale, if I go back to the piano, yeah. If you don't want to work in the C scale, you can just play around with this however you want. Like for instance, if I were to drag the piano down to C sharp, for instance, if I want a C sharp scale, that would still sound nice. And then I can just play the C sharp scale. Sorry. It's about. So you can do it in that scale instead. So just play along with this and experiment with different scales. And if you don't know much scales, then Google it. Just check it out and play, because you can get a completely different sound playing the same track, the same chords, in a completely different scale or key. So that's a little tip for you right there. And that's basically it. Then you can freestyle, creating different intros, different outros, and different melodies, freestyling in this scale. So I'm gonna play the entire track one more time and see what we've done today. Gotta do a bit of freestyling as well. Alright, so that's how I create my jazz tracks. If I wanted that melody, if I was happy with it, I could have just pressed record right here, and I could record the entire thing, getting it into its own pattern, so to say. Alright, so that is basically the 1-6-2-5 chord progression, creating jazz tracks. I also recommend you looking up some other methods. There are a lot of different jazz chord progression methods out there, which you can simply search up online and play along with it. So, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've learned something today. And if you liked it, make sure to leave a like on the video. And if you like these sort of videos or want to listen to this sort of music, just hit subscribe down below. And I'll see you in another video. My name is Martin, and thank you for watching. Bye guys.